Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Friday morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there and having a fantastic start to your day, a great end to your week, beginning to your weekend, whatever it may be for you folks out there. Here to give you guys some update information about what's going to happen weather-wise over the next 24 hours for your Friday into Friday night, Saturday morning. But of course, after we do that, we will give you updated information about this winter storm that's going to overspread a good portion of the eastern U.S. And, a lot of people will see rain, but areas of the southern Alps into the mid-Atlantic, the New England region will see a sizable winter storm. Nothing too crazy, not one of those nor'easters that were, produce like 1 to 2 feet of snow. Somebody could definitely get a foot and a half from this, but nothing too wild, but a pretty significant winter storm for areas. But we will speak on what happens today, because what's happening right now, as you can see on your screen, is linked to what will happen over the next 3 or 4 days with this winter storm. So we'll break it all down. We'll get very detailed for you folks. Take advantage of those timestamps like I've been mentioning over the last several videos. They're there to help you guys if you want to skip ahead and just hear what you want to hear, and I don't blame you one bit. Definitely not offended by that. Not everybody has the time to watch a 45-minute weather video. I certainly get it. After that, we will give you some updated information about the storm behind it, which I think will be much more dynamic. We could have a blizzard with this. We definitely will likely have severe weather with this, and a lot of people will see a lot of rain. Could be a lot of people with a lot of snow. So we need to figure that one out. Not going to have any updated information on this, Arctic blast behind this, just with timing issues. But we will continue to pump out new info on that Arctic outbreak that the National Weather Service is going to happen. We just got so much between now and then in front of us, these two storm systems, that man, the videos would go on for like an hour and a half if I was to break down in detail what's going on with that. But we will get you guys a lot of information on that throughout the weekend. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like, and if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below. All right, what's going on right now? Let's get rocking and rolling. All right, we got a lot of moisture, losing my voice, across Oklahoma. Southern sections of Kansas are seeing snow, maybe heavy also. You guys kind of have to let me know what you're seeing out there, as it looks like there was some reports of snow even starting in western and northwestern Arkansas. Eastern Oklahoma, we got a lot of heavy rain across southeast Texas, eastern areas of Texas, and just some light snows kind of drifting northward into Nebraska. Nothing too crazy, but I am going to be interested in the reports of what you guys are seeing. I think Jennifer out of the Tulsa area said that you guys were getting a little bit of snow this morning, kind of a slushy, wet snow. So it looks like you got some bright banding going on, meaning there's a lot of snowflakes melting aloft, but it's probably dynamic cooling occurring where you are getting some heavy, wet snow mixing in areas of eastern Oklahoma, western sections of Arkansas. So let me know what you're seeing out there. A little bit of light snow flying around across New York and extreme northeast PA, but that's what's going on right now. We do have moisture across the west also. As far as the Storm Prediction Center, we do have a marginal risk, which is our highest severe threat that we've seen in several days, a few weeks. But a marginal risk basically across the Gulf coastline from southern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama, and across the panhandle of Florida. Will have a level 1 out of 5 risk of severe weather today. There is a 2% risk of a tornado, which does include like New Orleans, Gulfport, Mobile, pretty much all the way to Tallahassee. 2% risk of a tornado within 25 miles. In any given location today, with just the placement of this low pressure, will create some ingredients for a tornado risk today. A risk of flash flooding, there's a marginal risk, which means there's at least a 5% risk of flash flood guidance being met within 25 miles in any given location. But I don't think flooding will be a risk, at least that high of a risk today. I never want to say no risk, but this system is moving so fast, and it's such a kind of small, compact system that I don't think you're going to get a lot of heavy rain for a long period of time. Watches, warnings, and advisories, you can see it. The entire northwestern section of Arkansas has winter weather advisories. There's a lot of counties kind of jumbled up together. I thought Georgia was bad, but geez, look in Arkansas, you got a lot of counties just really jumbled up right beside each other. Very small counties, but you still got a lot of Kansas that have winter weather advisories. The northern counties of Oklahoma still have winter weather advisories. They have dropped the winter storm warnings. Winter weather advisories up here in areas of southeast North Dakota, northeast South Dakota, several counties in Minnesota, northeast Minnesota, western Minnesota. But you got a lot of winter alerts out west. Nothing too crazy, but we do have winter storm warnings up for the Sierra Nevada. And check it out. Now look at the eastern U.S. winter storm watches all the way up to a couple counties in southern Maine. Winter storm warnings up for several counties in Virginia and a few counties in North Carolina. I mean, even south of Asheville, like, the Hendersonville area, you guys have winter storm warnings up. Quick hitting winter storm, definitely going to affect you guys overnight tonight to tomorrow morning. And even several counties in North Georgia, winter weather advisories are up in the purple colors. Winter storm warnings are in the pink, teal colors, or winter storm watches. So let's take a look at the southeast first. And we're starting it off this morning. We got that moisture. I think snow will continue to make its way into the western sections of Arkansas. Southwest Arkansas will stay mainly rain. Northwest Arkansas, snow. Quick heating event, not a big deal. Nothing to prompt winter storm warnings. That's why they only have winter weather advisories. Rain will overspread for some reason I like to call Louisiana New Orleans, like the entire state of Louisiana is New Orleans. But rain will overspread Louisiana and then begin to move across Mississippi this evening. Start to overspread up the Mississippi River. Crosses the Delta region, getting into western Tennessee. Rain begins to overspread Alabama, and then we're getting it into western Georgia. And then there's enough cold air involved right into here for this to begin to fall as a wintry mix. And we will get closer to this later in the video, but this is kind of the beginning stages of our winter storm. Very quick hitting winter storm across the mountains and even foothills. We'll get icing of North Carolina. Somebody said that I say North Carolina with an F instead of North Carolina, and then I thought about it and I was like, that person's correct. I do say North Carolina, so I'm just going to keep speaking like I do. That's just my accent and just how I speak. So, but we are going to have some thunderstorms across the deep south along the Gulf coastline. They're not going to be well structured, so just be aware. As you got storms coming, heed the warnings. I think the worst of the storms are out into the Gulf of Mexico, thankfully. But we keep this going, and I think some thunderstorms could move into North Florida as we are getting into the morning hours tomorrow morning. But look at that heavy snowfall across northern Kentucky. We will talk about that. But with this low surging right over the spine of the Alps, this will not support winter weather for eastern Tennessee. And even, it's not a really good system for even western North Carolina. Rainfall between now and the next 24 hours, well, actually next 30 hours. If somebody's going to get an inch or two of rain in Louisiana, Jackson, inch and a half, begins to drop off a little bit in Alabama, half inch, 3/4 of an inch totals. Nothing too crazy, just typical El Nino kind of stuff out here. Up here in the northeast, enjoy it. You're waking up to frigid temperatures. It's quite cold out here this morning. A little bit of light snow throughout central New York. All in all, though, a pretty quiet weather day. Enjoy it, because you do have a lot of weather coming for tomorrow. But as you can tell, you're waking up tomorrow morning. Here comes the weather, a lot of it. Winter storm on the way. Waking up to heavy snow potentially in northern Kentucky. Well, like I said, we'll talk more on that. Snow's beginning to overspread in Indiana, Ohio, even getting into Michigan. You keep this going, we move into the south central U.S. You will continue to deal with some winter weather across those areas that you're dealing with now. Some snow will continue to fall across western and northwestern Arkansas, even potentially getting into the Springfield area a little bit later this morning. A little bit of snow. Snow flying around up here in Kansas, especially the eastern half of Kansas. You might get a brief mix, especially Little Rock points north for a period later this morning, but I wouldn't buy it much. No accumulations expected, but you never know when you can get a surprise. But you get into this evening, and, we could have more amped up precipitation that gets going in southeast Missouri. So later this evening, don't be surprised you get a period of light snow across, southeast Missouri. Certainly northwest Missouri will get a little bit of snow. Kansas City, if you're out and about on the town tonight, I definitely think you could get some flakes flying around this evening. Not a big deal at all. And then you're getting into the overnight hours, and the system begins to wrap up. But there's still going to be energy out there. Therefore, you still got another round of light and moderate snow kind of flying through northeast New Mexico. There's just a lot of energy in place right now and on the way to the moving in. So there's a lot going on. But snowfall between now and the next 24 hours. Of course, this is falling right now. But, a couple inches of snow. Let me know what you're seeing right now in southern Kansas, because this event's ongoing right now. So I'll show you this, but this is kind of backtracked 6 hours. So some of this is already accumulated, but another couple inches of snow is possible to expect it across southern Kansas. So definitely let me know what you see out there for sure. And, across, northwest Arkansas, I think you guys could get a quick inch. Someone might squeeze in 2 inches somewhere in and Arkansas. I don't have any panels pulled up for you guys to really zoom into this region, but you definitely could get some accumulating snow in northwest Arkansas a little bit later this morning. North central U.S., quiet morning out there, but as we are getting into this afternoon, this evening, an area of light snow, maybe moderate times, will begin to develop across northern Minnesota. Will really, I think, get a little bit more juiced up throughout the evening. Moderate snow falling across, basically northern and western Minnesota. Just some light snow kind of out and about in the northern plains. A little bit of snow working its way into the UP of Michigan. And we're starting to get into the middle of the night. There's that snow at the bottom of your screen that can make it all the way to Chicago, Indianapolis. Could see some snow in the wee hours of the morning this morning. There's a lot going on, guys. That's why these videos have been so long. I mean, you got this huge area of light to moderate snow across areas of southern Canada, the Great Lakes region. You're waking up tomorrow morning with light to moderate snow flying around across the UP, northern Wisconsin, and a good section of Minnesota. And then you got this energy moving in from the south, so it's snowing in southern Michigan as you're waking up tomorrow also, with snow across the Ohio Valley and areas of the Midwest. A little bit closer look at this, we're getting into this evening. Could you get a period of snow tonight in St. Louis? I think it's possible. It's trending a little bit away from that. You guys might get a bigger storms next week, but you're getting into tonight. We'll stop it here. This is, and then we'll, extend this as we get later in the video, but we'll stop it right here. And this is the snow that we're waking up to tomorrow morning. It's showing Indianapolis seeing snow, Cincinnati seeing snow. You're waking up to heavy snow across like Lexington, Kentucky. Dare I say like Louisville, waking up to snow. Frankfurt, trying to think of some towns, some cities. Of course, Cincinnati and Louisville are more known cities in this area. But, snow moving into like Columbus, maybe Dayton, Ohio as we're waking up tomorrow, maybe even Detroit. So a little bit of light snow up here near the Quincy area. Also, but the National Weather Service isn't buying this much. They're not even giving any accumulation for this little stripe of snow later tonight in Missouri, southwest Illinois, but they are showing some love for what happens tomorrow morning, as you could wake up to an inch of snow in Indianapolis, maybe an inch and a half in these areas. So, we'll see what happens. I'm trying to think of the town. Lafayette, maybe an inch and a half of snow. Might get up into Kalamazoo as we're getting a little bit deeper into tomorrow. And here's a graphic from the National Weather Service in Indianapolis. And this was issued a couple hours ago, so really about an hour and a half ago. So they're saying there's a 67% chance in Indianapolis to see an inch of snow tonight, and almost 100% chance to see a half of snow. And there's kind of a map right here. So they got a pretty cool graphic up. I always like the different graphics that these, individual National Weather Services have up. But snow up here in northern Minnesota. You thought I was going to leave you out. I'm not leaving you out. I got you covered. Northern Minnesota, scattered 1 to 3 inch amounts across northern Minnesota, and then we kind of work our way into the upper Midwest region. Just through Saturday morning, 1 to 2, 3 inches of snow is possible in northern Wisconsin, but you keep going all the way through about Sunday morning. You could get a half a foot of snow for somebody up here in northeast Minnesota. It's very possible. Scattered 1 to 3 inch amounts across this region in the UP. So you'll begin to get some of that snow back on the ground where you've lost a lot of it. Out west, it's not very active this morning. We got in areas of energy moving across the Rockies, so you're dealing with some snow. You'll continue to deal with some snow throughout the morning across eastern Idaho. Might get some snow across Salt Lake City later this afternoon. Scattered snow across Wyoming. Not a whole lot going on in Montana, Rockies. But this is our big system moving in tonight across the Pacific Northwest. Look at this heavy snow in the Olympic Mountains, the Cascades, surge of moisture, heavy rain in Eugene, Medford, Seattle. And we get all the way to tomorrow morning, and then this energy begins to overspread across the Rockies. And this is kind of a piece of energy that will link into our big system next week. But, a lot of moisture could fall from this. This is snow between now and through Sunday morning, going for 3 to 4 feet in some of these areas, but scattered 1 to 2 feet amounts across the Cascades. Look at the Olympic Mountains. Somebody could get 2 to 4 feet in the Olympic Mountains. So a lot of snow in these areas. And, you look at precipitation just in general, guys, a lot of it. Even the valleys, a good half inch to an inch of rain. A lot of times you get rain shadowed in this region. You definitely get rain shadowed in this area between the Cascades and the Rockies. But it's pretty wild how you can get a surge of moisture like that in these areas, not get hardly any rain. Such microclimates out west. I say that all the time. But the eastern U.S., as far as temperatures, a very cold day ahead of a winter storm, which I think is always pivotal when you get a really cold day before a winter storm, I think it really helps, and when the snow does start falling the next day or whenever, for it to accumulate better. And it's going to be a pretty chilly day across the mid-Atlantic, the Northeast, sub-freezing highs. You got this pocket of cooler air across Arkansas, Missouri, chilly temperatures across the middle of the country. It's still above average, though, up here. Even though you're sub-freezing in the upper portion of the country, that's above average temperatures. Rockies, you know, overall you're around average, slightly above average. A little bit cooler across the western U.S., Pacific Northwest, where that system is moving in. So moving along, guys, let's zoom in on this, and we're going to take a look at the latest HRRR model because we're in range for, I would say, 75 to 80% of the storm, 100% of it down here in the southern Alps. So if you're vacationing in the mountains of North Carolina or whatever you're doing out there, this is what the system looks like as it moves in. We're starting it off, look, midnight tonight Eastern time, so 11 p.m. Central time. So I think that this winter storm begins right after midnight. And look, you know, I think Waynesville, Lake Juliusca, Asheville, Hendersonville, icy mix, maybe a little snow to start off. But you continue to keep this going. This is a quick-hitting winter storm that's evolving across the high elevations of North Carolina, an icing event across the foothills. And you're getting all the way at this point to the wee hours of the morning, getting all the way, and let's just take it all the way to about Saturday morning. You're trying to switch to some heavy wet snow across northern Tennessee. We'll see if that happens. Look at Lexington, heavy wet snow. Cincinnati, Louisville, heavy snow. Frankfort, snow. All rain for eastern Kentucky, southern and southwestern West Virginia, and even western Virginia because of this kind of initial low pressure that cuts through here, brings warm air aloft, and just really prevents any winter weather from really going on. But look at this icy mix across Boone, Banner Elk. Even Hickory will deal with some freezing rain. And to keep this going, and, you know, you're getting a little bit deeper into tomorrow morning, and, you know, Roanoke just continues to deal with freezing rain. Charlottesville, a mixture of freezing rain, sleet, maybe some snow. You get up to Hagerstown, definitely snow. Panhandle, West Virginia, and just western Maryland, heavy snow. And just, we got to watch. Do you flip to heavy wet snow even across the unfavorable areas of West Virginia? It says right at the end of the storm, tomorrow around midday, you switch to some heavy snow in areas of West Virginia. So what about the forecast amounts? Here is the ice totals. They've actually trended a little bit further down. So scattered a tenth of an inch to quarter-inch ice totals. That's some pretty decent icing in these areas. And, you know, areas south of Hendersonville and these regions right into here where this system will kind of come in, there'll be a lot more cold air entrenched in these areas. This is very favorable areas right in here for cold air damming. As cold air gets trapped in some of these valleys, someone can squeeze in a quarter of an inch to 3/10 of an inch of ice around Hendersonville Point South. And then look at the icing all the way up into Virginia. Definitely, I would say the word significant with some of this icing in some areas, but it's a solid glaze. You can visibly see this. I don't think there's going to be much in the way of any kind of travel impacts because you really need freezing rain to be, one, a long duration, and then two, you need freezing rain falling in like the 20s, not 31, 32 degrees. You need to be a little bit colder, but snow from this, you're not going to see much. You might get an inch in the Smokies in the higher elevations, but not a lot of snow from this. But you could get maybe 1 to 2 inches, a little bit more than what the National Weather Service is forecasting. We'll see what happens. There's just a lot of warm air aloft, preventing this to be snow. That is why we're seeing mainly ice. That's why this isn't going to be, maybe we thought several days ago we would see more snow. This is more so ice than snow in the mountains of North Carolina. Even getting into Virginia, guys. I mean, you know, Blacksburg. Hopefully I said that right. You know, Roanoke, you know, not a lot of snow. Not a lot of snow at all. Maybe a half inch if you're lucky. And then we'll talk more on these areas here in a second. I do want to mention my folks up here and, you know, northern Kentucky. You know, we're going to watch this band of snow that I just showed you guys in northern Kentucky. But I can tell you the National Weather Service is not buying what the HRRR model is showing. It is buying snow falling, but it's not buying that very heavy snow. And, you know, you might get heavy snow, but I think what they're hesitant on is this going to accumulate like the HRRR model was saying. And let's see if I got some good graphics here. And, you know, I will pull up the HRRR model on the fly. I thought I already had it up, honestly. I don't really know what happened. But I would say, you know, there's your HRRR long-range forecast for this region. Let's go on and take it there. The HRRR model, you know, wants to dump half a foot of snow. in northern Kentucky. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but it does have a period of heavy snow in northern Kentucky, southern Ohio. It really likes this area. I mean, even getting into southeast Indiana and then southwest Ohio, So I would watch for something sneaky. We've been talking about this a lot. I never want to leave you guys hanging, but I would watch for something sneaky right here in northern Kentucky, southern Ohio, for a little bit of a surprise, maybe compared to what your locals or National Weather Service is showing. You never know. Sometimes you can get on this backside some heavy wet snow. Here comes the big winter storm moving into the mid-Atlantic. The HRRR model says you might start off as a burst of some snow in Washington, D.C., but quickly go to rain. But you go up to like Hagerstown, Harrisburg, you might start off as some heavy snow, but you might have mixing issues. But you stop it right here. We're all over the place. Here we go. It's around 2 p.m. Eastern time. You got an all-out winter storm moving across most of PA. HRRR model says, heavy snow in Pittsburgh, eastern Ohio. This area of the Panhandle, I don't know what y'all, I think y'all, this is kind of the northern Panhandle, the eastern Panhandle. I don't know how y'all, a lot of people say I leave West Virginia behind. You see me trying to struggle right now with trying to label your panhandles here. But anyways, southwest Pittsburgh, heavy snow. You get snow starting to moving across State College. It gets all the way up to Scranton, Binghamton, New York. But look at this heavy rain moving across the Delmarva, New Jersey. You start off as pretty much rain in New York City, stay rain. You're even starting to see some struggles here. Philadelphia, I don't want to leave you guys hanging out. Rain, maybe a burst of snow at the beginning. You keep this going. Cold, a little bit cold air emerges, and, look how close this is. If you look really hard on your screen, that's New York City. HRRR model says you go from heavy rain to heavy wet snow. If you can get tomorrow evening a burst of really, really heavy wet snow, you might get accumulations. You might break that snowless 1-inch streak. Finger Lakes, Southern Tier area, a pretty nice snow hit from this. Nothing too crazy. It's getting all the way to Buffalo, too. Scranton, heavy snow. Poconos, Catskills, heavy snow. This is not one of those long duration events, guys. And then, this pulls on out. Let's go. Takes us all the way out to midnight Saturday night. Snowfall between now and the next 24 hours from this event. National Weather Service forecast. All right, you're going for 8 to 12 inches of snow in extreme northern New Jersey. Scranton, kind of 8 to 10 inches of snow. They don't have really any great graphics up from this region. They did not upgrade their graphics in the Baltimore, D.C. area or in the State College. State College is struggling. They are definitely lagging with any kind of cool graphics we can look at. But, Poconos, Catskills, a pretty decent event. I mean, it's nothing that I think you folks up here would call like a blockbuster snowstorm, but a pretty decent winter storm moving in, pretty significant winter storm. But southern New Jersey, Delaware, you're not going to get much from this event. You really aren't. You move a little bit further north, and we've already kind of talked about a lot of these areas, but getting into Albany, I think snow could start to fall tomorrow afternoon, early evening. Snow gets all the way up into the southern sections of the Adirondacks, snow across Syracuse. I think the brunt of the heaviest precipitation will stay south, but we will see. We have seen these systems trend north at the last second. We really have. But you keep this going, heavy snow falling across Connecticut, western Mass, the Berkshires late to tomorrow evening. And you might deal with some mixing issues, maybe in Connecticut for a period tomorrow night. And then it might turn back to snow. But, snow's now overspreading on the latest HRRR model, all of Vermont, all of New Hampshire. And snowfall between now and this takes us to about Sunday evening, so still could be snowing in some of these areas. All right, maybe another couple inches. But, New York City, they're going for about 1.5 inches. So throwing y'all a bone. And just kind of half-inch to inch amounts across Long Island, Albany, 8, 9, 10 inches. I mean, look, you can tell the cutoff. Look at the cutoff in the southern sections of Connecticut. So that's something we need to watch. National Weather Service out of Albany keeps the good updates coming. Pause this if you need to. Nose is itching like crazy again. Oh, man, I got too many cats, but I love my cats. So, 8 to 12 inches and kind of in the lower marks. They've kind of dropped in Albany back down to 6 to 8 inches. This could tweak back up, but pause this if you need to single out your town. You move a little bit further northeast. Here's this winter storm moving across southern New England. I think you'll struggle in Boston mixing tomorrow evening, but I think you eventually move to very, very heavy wet snow. And when it starts to snow, I think it'll accumulate pretty fast. You might struggle mixing for several hours, and then you'll go to a period of several hours for heavy wet snow. But here it is, it shows some mixing issues here and across Rhode Island. I mean, even getting into southern Mass, Connecticut, and snow's overspreading, and this only goes out 48 hours, so it's still snowing. So, I will mention that, we would have to look at, let's see, at the European. Let's see if this is in range. It's still from the overnight model guidance here. But the European, shows the idea of you struggling with mixing issues, especially in southeast Mass. Throughout the duration of the storm. And then you switch to that period of heavy, wet snow Sunday afternoon to Sunday evening. How much snow? Well, let's take a look at Maine really quick. What about Maine? Here it is. I want to show you guys too. How far north will the snow get? It's a big question here. Heavy snow against the coastal regions, but most of the heaviest snow is just off the coastline Sunday evening into Sunday night. So we'll watch for that. Snowfall between now and the next, I keep wanting to say next 24 hours, but the duration, this goes all the way out to Sunday evening. They're only going for an inch and a half in Boston. Now, this is a totally different graphic than what I'm about to show you. Let's look at this, okay? Look at this white outlined area. It says greatest uncertainty, Boston, Providence, the south coast. So, in this area, they're pretty confident for widespread 8 to 12 inch snowfall totals. Boston, 4 to 6. Get down to Providence, 6 to 8. But you get down to these regions down here, they're saying you might struggle to get an inch of snow. So we'll see. New Haven, I can see you guys struggling down here, but we'll see what happens. There's a big storm coming next week. And freeze this graphic. I showed it last night if you want to, but this is pretty wild. Potential wind hazards. I've never seen this before. It's a new graphic. The yellow, there's high winds possible, at least a 40% chance. The orange, there's a greater chance of damaging 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts in this area. It's pretty wild. Expect disruptions to daily life. This is for the storm next week. And here it comes, guys. Nasty, huge, deep-digging trough drops down to the south-central U.S. This upper trough begins to strengthen. It takes on a neutral tilt, which is like this when it digs vertically. When it digs like this, that's positively tilted. When it digs like this, let's see if I can draw right, that's negatively tilted. So it's tilting kind of like that. And that's exactly what this system does moving forward. Watch as you, come on, baby. All right, watch how this thing takes that negative tilt as you get early to midway next week. That means this is going to be a highly dynamic storm, a strengthening storm. It's going to produce a lot of winds, probably a blizzard somewhere, and severe weather in other areas. And then this just blasts the eastern U.S. with a powerful storm system. Very powerful storm system, guys. A lot of people are starting to talk about this. What about the European? What is it showing? We'll start off Sunday afternoon, heavy snow across the Rockies. And then we stop it here at 999 at Millibar Low on the Oklahoma-Kansas border right here. Heavy snow overspreading Nebraska, Iowa, northern Minnesota, western Kansas. You keep this going. Heavy snow up in Omaha. They're really starting to talk about this up in Nebraska and Kansas and even Iowa. But you stop it here. This is next Monday evening. Timestamps here. Tuesday, 9 Jan, as in January, not jam. But it looks like you're just getting rain in Kansas City. Rain in St. Louis. And then you switch to snow in Kansas City, Oklahoma. But, you struggle in Chicago. It stays all rain. And then finally, as you're getting into Tuesday evening, this thing cranks up again, and you can have a period of heavy snow. This is not a forecast, guys. We're still in that range where we're comparing model guidance. And then this moves on off. Another area, another system right behind it. What about the GFS? What does the GFS show? There it is, 998 millibar low over the panhandle of Texas. Pretty strong low already. Heavy snow in the panhandle of Oklahoma, panhandle of Texas again. Heavy snow moving into Kansas City, eastern Kansas. Heavy snow all the way up to Omaha, Lincoln. Sorry, I'm having to talk fast because I'm running out of time here. But low pressure scooting across Arkansas, getting into Monday afternoon. Heavy snow. This would show a winter storm off the GFS compared to the Euro, which showed mostly rain in Kansas City to St. Louis. But look at this heavy back-end snow again. Could be a long-duration event for the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas. Still snowing Monday evening across Kansas. You keep this going. Rain switches to snow across St. Louis. Big blob of heavy snow getting into Tuesday morning across the Ohio Valley in the Midwest region. How much snow are you getting to Chicago? Well, this event isn't done. You see how this trough digging down? And then look how this thing cranks up at the back end. Okay, this could be one of those events where Arkansas sees mostly rain the entire time. Same thing as Missouri. And then a secondary low forms that could be quite powerful and could become the main low, a 986 millibar low across the Boot Hill, Missouri. Look at this heavy snow in the Springfield, the Ozarks of northern Arkansas. And look at this back-end winter storm that could produce very heavy snowfall totals. And then this moves in. So there's kind of looking like there's going to be two pieces to this storm system. It does. And, you know, this is the snow that's falling today and tonight. So this doesn't count. But it's what comes in after this. Watch how these totals kind of beef up in areas. See how it beefs up right here, right down there. And it's just really weird. You can see this first initial push right here of snow across the middle of the country. And then there's another area right here that develops that we need to watch out for. But, man, the signal is kind of wonky. It's kind of everywhere. But it's there. And then, look, another signal emerges kind of midway late next week for Michigan as a big winter storm. So it's pretty weird looking. And same thing with the GFS. This is the initial storm today. This is getting into next week. There's your initial storm across the middle of the country. And then here's your other push right in here. Look at this stripe of very heavy snow on the GFS across Illinois, Missouri, getting into Indiana, southern Michigan. Pretty wild to see. Now, the other issue with this is winds. It's the blend of all models, which is going to be a conservative model. Okay, I think once we get closer, we'll compare some of the operational runs once we get past this weekend storm. But look at these winds, 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts across kind of the high plains, and then this moves into the Great Plains, and you got 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts with the potential with snow falling with this. This is why we're concerned about blizzard, and that's because we have a deepening low pressure, such a strong, strengthening storm system. And you know, we get across Missouri, Illinois, snow could be falling in these areas, could be rain, gusty 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. Could have sustained winds at that. We just got to watch. And then this moves into the eastern U.S. All right, what about the eastern U.S.? Well, most of this is going to be rain, but we could have on the onset of this some winter weather. This is the Euro as we're moving into Tuesday morning. Could have some ice in some of the same areas. We'll see ice tonight into tomorrow. Could start out some winter weather up here in Pennsylvania. All rain down here with the potential for severe weather Monday into Tuesday for the deep south into the southeast. But this is just a wind-driven rain up here for the mid-Atlantic, the Ohio Valley, and the northeast. What happens after the cold air catches up with this is very interesting, though. Punch of cold air up under this low. Rain could potentially switch to snow in Tennessee, maybe areas of the mid-south. And then look at the rain switching to snow here in areas of the Midwest. And then this really cranks up to a 964 millibar low in southern Ontario. Dumps a ton of heavy snow from Detroit points north. And it's just a lot of features we have to watch with this. What about the GFS? GFS is much colder. It has a substantial winter storm across the Ohio Valley in the Midwest. All right, and it doesn't really start off as much winter weather now like it was showing before. But the GFS continues to be just further south. Big hitting winter storm across the Midwest, areas of the northern Ohio Valley, Great Lakes region. It would show all snow, at least initially for Detroit. It could be all snow the entirety of the event. But look how this secondary low forms with enough cold air on top. And this is kind of on the GFS showing, you know, hey, this could stay a winter storm, but the Euro is showing all rain. But it's showing the interior areas in the northeast, heck, even closer to the I-95 corridor, starts out at least as winter weather. But, you know, we're getting, guys, I am so sorry. I knew I had the wrong storm system up. Backtrack everything I just said for the eastern U.S. Central U.S. is right. I was wondering. That looked very odd to me. That's the system behind that one. So there's your first really big blooper of for a while. So this is the storm system that is coming next week. God, they look just alike, right? But getting into Tuesday morning, heavy snow starting out for the Ohio Valley, and then it does switch to rain. Starts out some snow in these kind of favored areas, kind of like the Euro showing. Starts out snow in the northeast and then switches to all rain. And there's that back end snow. It's funny. There's another system that moves in behind this, and it looks exactly like this, but with less snow, more rain. But look at the back end precipitation changing the snow. And then you got the snow in this region right into here. Also, as we're getting to midway next week. All rain for the northeast, and then this heads on out. And it's the same thing, guys. I do apologize for that blooper. I haven't done that in a while. But there's the signal of snow right here. It's mainly for the Midwest in the Great Lakes region, not as much for, the eastern U.S. Interior northeast, you got some snow showing up, but more so for the northeastern U.S. Okay. What about the winds? The winds could be significant. There it is. We'll kind of move through this pretty quick here. 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, guys, in this region. Getting into Tuesday, Wednesday, big area winds just off the shoreline where a low develops and really strengthens. You got 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts in the Outer Banks. And then look at the Mid-Atlantic. Look at these winds, 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts sometime next Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe into Thursday. Southern New England, this could be a big time wind event for you folks. Power outages, but just mostly rain. So the snow you're going to get is going to potentially get wiped out by that. There's a severe weather threat with this. Starts Monday, 15% risk of severe weather in this yellow area within 25 miles in any given location. Day 5, 15% risk of severe weather within 25 miles in any given location in the southeast right here. So yes, this has moved further north. It's including my neck of the woods now here in Columbia, all the way to just south of Raleigh, Wilmington to Charleston, Savannah, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tallahassee, almost up to Atlanta. You are now under the gun for severe weather next Tuesday. They have uptrended the risk here. And this is all because of this. I'll show it to you again. Dew points in this region. This is Monday afternoon. Look at them surging into this is a thermodynamic. One thing you look at, thermodynamics and kinematics, where do they overlap the best? Where they're saying that along the Gulf Coast from Monday into Monday night, dew points in the 60s, highly kinematic, favorable, highly kinematic environment in this region. But look how far north this moist sector climbs. Dew points into the 60s into Atlanta, Columbia, certainly points south, all the way up into Raleigh. Dew points can get into the 60s, all the way into the Delmarva area, guys. So you combine that with this huge wind field. Look at this thing getting neutrally tilted right into here. And then look at all these winds, 100 to 120 knot mid-level jets. We'll start discussing Cape low-level jets with this too as we get closer. But look at all this vibrant colors here as a lot of wind energy with a low right in here scooting across the deep south, eventually into the mid-Atlantic. And even though we'll have less severe weather threat up here in the mid-Atlantic and the northeast, you are still going to have a lot of strong winds. So, sorry about the mix-up a couple minutes ago. We'll get it right. I'll try to edit the video out of it, but probably won't have time to do it. But anyways, God bless all y'all. Have a great Friday, and we'll do it again this evening.